Something just happened in the wrestling world that has fans absolutely divided, furious, and glued to their screens. Because the final boss has finally spoken. And when Dwayne Johnson, better known to the world as The Rock, breaks his silence, somebody is about to get destroyed. This time, that someone might be CM Punk. But here's the question that has the entire wrestling world arguing right now. Did CM Punk go too far? Or is The Rock abusing his power? Drop your answer in the comments right now because by the end of this video, your opinion might completely change. Because what just happened behind the scenes is far more explosive than anything happening inside the ring. And it all started with one simple thing CM Punk refused to do: apologize. Now, let's rewind for a second. When CM Punk returned to WWE, the entire wrestling world exploded. Fans screamed. Social media melted. And people started saying the same thing everywhere. Wrestling just became unpredictable again. But here's the problem. Backstage? Things were already tense. Because CM Punk has a reputation. A reputation for speaking his mind. A reputation for burning bridges. And a reputation for not backing down no matter who he's standing across from. Even if that person is the final boss himself. Dwayne Johnson. Now think about this for a second. We're talking about one of the biggest movie stars on the planet. A man with power inside WWE. A man who literally calls himself the final boss. And then there's CM Punk, a guy who has spent his entire career fighting authority. So, ask yourself this real quick. Did you really think these two personalities were ever going to get along? Comment yes or a no. Because what happened next proves something shocking. This situation didn't just become personal. It became a war. Reports started surfacing backstage that tensions were growing rapidly. At first it was small. Little disagreements. Creative differences. But then came the moment that changed everything. According to multiple insiders, CM Punk made comments that didn't sit well with people in power. And not just anyone. We're talking about the final boss himself. Dwayne Johnson. Now nobody expected what happened next. Because instead of smoothing things over, instead of doing the professional thing, instead of quietly apologizing, CM Punk refused. Flat out refused. No apology. No backtracking. No damage control. And that's when the temperature backstage skyrocketed. Because if there's one thing you need to understand about The Rock, it's this. He respects confidence. He respects toughness. But what he does not tolerate is disrespect. Especially not in his house. So when word got back to Dwayne Johnson that CM Punk wasn't apologizing, everything changed. Now, before we go further, let me ask you something. If you were CM Punk, would you apologize to The Rock? Type apologize or never in the comments. Because the answer to that question is exactly why this situation exploded the way it did. Sources say the message eventually reached The Rock. And when it did, people backstage immediately noticed something. The energy shifted. Because when Dwayne Johnson decides to respond, he doesn't do it quietly. He does it in a way that the entire world feels it. And that's exactly what happened. Instead of a private conversation, instead of a calm resolution, the final boss did something far more brutal. He broke his silence publicly. And when he did, fans instantly knew who he was talking about. Even though no names were mentioned. Because the message was crystal clear. The final boss doesn't chase respect. He demands it. And if someone refuses to give it, they'll find out the hard way. But here's where the story gets even crazier. Because instead of backing down after hearing that message, CM Punk doubled down. Yes, you heard that right. He didn't apologize. He didn't stay quiet. Instead, he did what CM Punk has always done. He stood his ground. And fans instantly split into two groups. Group number 1 says, Punk is reckless. You don't challenge The Rock. Group number 2 says, finally someone isn't afraid of the final boss. So let me ask you this. Who are you siding with right now? Comment Team Rock or Team Punk. Because the deeper this situation goes, the more intense it becomes. Now here's something a lot of fans don't realize. This isn't just about pride. This is about power. Inside WWE, influence matters. And very few people carry as much influence as Dwayne Johnson. So, when he sends a message, people listen. And when that message is directed at someone like CM Punk, the stakes instantly become massive. Because Punk isn't just another wrestler. He's one of the most outspoken voices wrestling has ever seen. The man once dropped the legendary pipe bomb that shook the industry. He built his career on rebellion. So when you put rebellion in front of authority, what do you think is going to happen?
Exactly.
Collision. And that collision might be building towards something bigger than anyone expected. Because some insiders are now saying this situation could turn into one of the most explosive storylines in years. Imagine this for a second. The final boss versus the voice of the voiceless. Dwayne Johnson versus CM Punk.
Power
Versus rebellion. Authority versus chaos. Tell me honestly, would you want to see that match? Type book IT if you would. But before fans get too excited, there's a darker side to this story. Because backstage conflicts like this don't always turn into storylines. Sometimes, they turn into real problems. Locker room divisions, management decisions, career consequences. And some people are already worried that CM Punk might be playing a dangerous game. Because refusing to apologize to someone as powerful as Dwayne Johnson? That takes serious confidence. Or serious stubbornness. Maybe both. Now here's where things get even more intense. Because after The Rock's message spread across the wrestling world, fans started digging into every little detail. Every interview. Every social media post. Every backstage rumor. Trying to figure out one thing. Is this real? Or is this the beginning of something bigger? Because wrestling history is full of moments where real tension became legendary rivalries. And if that's what's happening here, we might be witnessing the early stages of something huge. But let's talk about the real elephant in the room.
Ego.
Both of these men have massive personalities. Both are known for speaking their minds. Both are used to being the center of attention. So when you put them in the same orbit, you get sparks. The kind of sparks that either create magic or burn everything down. Now imagine this scenario. The lights go dark. A sold-out arena. The crowd buzzing. Suddenly, the music hits. If you smell, the arena explodes. Dwayne Johnson walks out. The final boss. But then, another theme interrupts. The static hits. Cult of personality. And out walks CM Punk.
Two men.
Two philosophies. One ring. Tell me right now, who would win that match? Type Rock or Punk. But remember something. Before any match can happen,
Respect has to exist. And right now,
respect might be the one thing missing from this entire situation. Because CM Punk refused to apologize. And The Rock refuses to be disrespected. So someone eventually has to give in. Or things are going to get a lot uglier. Backstage insiders say this situation is still developing. Nothing is fully resolved. And both sides are standing firm. Which means the tension is still very real. And the wrestling world is watching every single move. But here's the final question I want you to think about. And it might be the most important one of this entire story. Is CM Punk brave, or is he making the biggest mistake of his career? Drop your answer in the comments. Because if this situation keeps escalating, we might be heading towards something that shakes WWE once again. And if the final boss truly decides to step into the ring, someone's ego is going to get shattered. And knowing CM Punk, he's not backing down. And knowing Dwayne Johnson, neither is the final boss. Which means one thing. This story is far from over.
Fire.
And before you leave, I want to hear from you. 3 quick questions. Should CM Punk apologize to The Rock? Who has more power inside WWE right now? Would you want to see The Rock versus CM Punk at WrestleMania? Drop your answers in the comments. Because the best comments might get featured in the next Ring Rumble video. And trust me, if this war keeps escalating, the next chapter might be even more explosive. Collision.